2024 has been a pretty unbelievable watch release year, if you want to call it that. So in this video, I'm going to be covering my favorite watches of 2024 so far. Welcome back to the Chisholm Hunter channel. My name is Harrison, as always. And before we start this video, we have very exciting news. We are giving you the chance to win a Citizen Super Titanium. This is to celebrate 60,000 subscribers, and all you have to do to enter is hit that like button, that subscribe button, comment with your favorite watch of 2024 so far, and if you have it, follow us on Instagram at Chisholm Hunter Watches. And this is my way of saying thank you guys so much for all the support over the years. Anyway, on with the video. Coming in at number 1, we have the Omega Black Stallion, as I nicknamed it. This is the new Aquaterra that was released from Omega, but actually I'm going to change the nickname to the Black Pearl, because one of our subscribers actually commented with that nickname, and I realized that it's actually, it's a better nickname. My nickname sucked. The new Omega Aquaterra black lacquered dial was actually released in 3 different sizes. You have a 41mm variant, you have a 38mm variant, and finally, you have the smallest of the bunch, a 34mm variant. Now, there are quite a few differences between the 34, the 38, and also the 41 in terms of movements and also just aesthetics. We have covered this in another video, so specifically, I'm going to hone in here on the 38mm variant. The 38mm variant has a lug-to-lug of 45.1mm. It has a thickness of 12.3mm, and between the lugs, it measures roughly 19 to 19.1mm according to our digital calipers that we have in the studio. These are water resistant to 150 meters, have that beautiful in-house Omega caliber movement that's COSC and METAS certified. And the movement in this specific model is the caliber 8800. The clasp on these watches did have watch nerds frothing at the mouth, to be honest, because they do have the micro extension function. Now, this is a feature that I wish we could have seen on the other Aquaterra models because we knew that Omega had that technology. But now that they've done it on one Aquaterra model, you'd assume that all the new Aquaterras that come after will have this feature. This is honestly, in my opinion, as good, if not better, than the Rolex Explorer, and it's been one of my favorite releases of 2024. At number 2, we have the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT. For 3 or 4 years now, I've been going to Watches and Wonders, or prior to Watches and Wonders, it was actually called Baselworld. The gravitational pull of Tudor has skyrocketed in those 4, 5, 6 years that I've been going to previously Basel, but also then Watches and Wonders. It is honestly unbelievable. And this year, 2024, this was, I would say, one of the biggest pulls to the exhibit in general. And there's no wonder why. I mean, just look at this model. It comes in at 39mm, of course has that aluminium disc bezel, and it has a combination of this beautiful burgundy color, and then it also has part of that bezel being black. Now, being a GMT model, it does read multiple time zones at the one time. It is one of the perfect traveler's watches. It comes in at 12.8mm in thickness, and its lug width comes in at 20mm. It has the in-house Tudor manufacturer MT5450-U, and this is COSC and METAS certified. And I believe this is the lowest price watch that you can actually get that METAS certification for, which is awesome. So this is a huge release from Tudor. I reckon that they're going to bring out brilliant new iterations of the GMT. So it was really exciting for me because it was the start of something big. So this is definitely one of my favorite releases of 2024. At number 3, we have a watch that is unbelievably unattainable to me personally. I do not have £76,500 in the bank, but this watch is, it's just, chef's kiss. This is the new Vacheron Constantin Overseas chronograph with a brilliant green dial in full pink gold. Vacheron, for me, are the pinnacle of the Holy Trinity, and I'm not just saying that to ruffle feathers here. That is just the way that I feel personally. I love the Vacheron brand over AP and over Patek. I feel like they're the more classy of the Trinity. This specific model comes in at 42.5mm in diameter, 12.67mm in thickness. It has a water resistance of 15 bar. The movement on this model is the Vacheron Constantin in-house caliber 5200. This has 52 hours of power, beats at a frequency of 28,800 VPH, and has a full 22 karat gold oscillating insulating weight in the back. In most models, that's probably in stainless steel. But in this model, they've just been like, you know what? Let's just do it in full 22 karat gold, because why not? Now, if it was me, I would definitely go for the rubber strap on this model, as I love the combination of the green rubber strap with the green, beautiful sunray dial. It just fits for me, but anything that you go for here is a winner. But if I were to talk about this anymore, we'd literally be here all day. So let's move on. At number 4, we have the IWC Portugueser Perpetual Calendar coming in at 44 millimeters. Last year, IWC released the Engineer, and that was their sporty kind of staple watch within their arsenal. And this year, they went down the watchmaking classy dress route. And a lot of people were upset about no Engineers, but I honestly thought that what IWC brought out was unbelievable. And personally, I thought this was the highlight of the collection. This new perpetual calendar comes in 18 karat armor gold. Now, armor gold is actually patented by IWC, and we're going to do a brand new video on all the intricacies of armor gold, but that's for another video. Now, the armor gold, or the gold on this watch, brings out that classy nature of the black obsidian dial so well. It has so many layers to it, so much texture to it. I thought it was just a plain black dial, and then I got it on the wrist and thought, Jesus God, this is beautiful. This watch does come in at 14.9 millimeters in height or thickness. Because of those movements crammed in to that watch, this is actually okay for a perpetual calendar at this caliber. Taking the dressy, beautiful, stunning aesthetics of this watch aside, the movement to me is where it really shines through. The movement to me is just a work of art, a genuine work of art. The movement is the caliber 52616, and this is an IWC manufactured movement. It, of course, is automatic winding, and it has 168 hours of power. I know. Now let's talk about what a perpetual calendar actually is for a second, because that's quite an important point here. A perpetual calendar watch contains a bunch of complications. This advances the day, date, month automatically without adjustment. They take into account 30-day and also 31-day months. So you know how on my Seamaster, for example, I'll need to change the date every now and again because it doesn't take that into account. This watch does. It also takes into account the shorter February months, and also it takes into account leap years. And to have all that technology shoved into this watch, come on. Next on the list, at number 5, we have the Seiko Shogurai Diver. This kind of splices the best of the samurai and the best of the shotgun to make this beautiful baby hybrid. It's almost like a Targaryen baby. I've been watching House of Dragons a lot. This watch honestly took me by surprise when it was released, and it, for me, was one of the highlights of Seiko's releases this year in 2024. It comes in at 41.7 millimeters in diameter. It comes in at 12.3 millimeters in thickness, has a case length of 49.5 millimeters, and a lug width of 20 millimeters. Now, there are 3 different variations that you choose between, but for me, personally, I like the blackened, darkened aesthetic of the all black version. I also like the fact that the hour markers are kind of tanned. It gives it a vintage feel. And for £520, this watch is genuinely one of the best affordable divers that you can buy, in my opinion. Next up at number 6, and this is not just because we're giving it away. This genuinely isn't. It's because honestly, it took me by surprise massively. I thought it was brilliant. And Citizen as a brand is not a brand that I've looked at that much recently. And after seeing this, I'm definitely going to look at them more. This is the Citizen Super Titanium. Now, there are 3 different variations you can choose between. There is a white variation, the one that we're giving away. There's also a light blue kind of, I'm not going to say Tiffany blue because it isn't Tiffany blue. It's more of a light blue color, frosty color, which is my favorite. And then you also have a dark blue color. These watches come in at 41 millimeters. The dials are beautifully textured, just stunning. The depth to those dials is unbelievable. You also have a seconds counter between the 6 and the 4 mark, kind of sat nice and comfortably in between there. And then also you have a date function. It's quite hard to describe this watch without actually getting on the wrist genuinely, because it kind of is like a hybrid of 70s designed models shoved into a really affordable kind of case and bracelet. if that makes any sense. It's very 70s looking. It's very angular, integrated bracelet, all that good stuff that people want. Plus, it's extremely light because of the super titanium. I did not expect how light it would be. And that'd actually be the only thing that I would say is wrong with this watch if it was me. I kind of like to have heft to my watches. It makes them seem more expensive, but this is very, very light. We better get on to the next watch, guys, because I will literally be here all day. This was meant to be a 10-minute video, and it's looking like it's going to be a lot longer. Next on the list, we have a banger from Longines. And I could honestly mention every single Longines released in the last like 2 years because they're all bangers. But specifically, let's hone in on the Longines Conquest 38mm. Okay, so there's a bunch of colors to choose between. I'm not going to go through all of them because I'll literally be here all day. But if you do want to see these watches closer up in a little bit more detail, I'll link them up here for you because we have done a full video on them. These watches come in at 38mm in diameter, come in at 10.9mm in thickness, 46.8mm lug to lug, and the lug distance is 19mm. The movement on these watches is the in-house automatic caliber L888, and this is a self-winding mechanical movement beating at a frequency of 25,200 VPH. It also has 72 hours of power, and to me, this watch is the affordable Aquaterra. And taking a step further than this watch, I would say, competes with the Rolex Explorer. Genuinely. It's just simplicity at its best. It is just brilliant. Now, it does sway more to the dressy side, I would say, but that's not a bad thing. Everyone has different tastes. And I'm going more towards the dressy side recently, weirdly. My tastes are definitely changing. Up next, we have a more expensive model from Tissot, but a banging model from Tissot. This is the Tissot PR516 mechanical chronograph, and it's brilliant. I think mechanical watches are a dying breed in the industry, and I don't want them to die. I feel like that's where it started, and that's where it should continue to go. This watch does come in at 41mm. It comes in at 13.7mm in thickness, and the lugs come in at 20mm. It, of course, comes in full stainless steel and is a mechanical watch, a manual winding watch, rather, so it doesn't have an automatic rotor in the back spinning around. The dial on this model specifically comes in black. It has white sub-dial rings, and you also have a little splash of blue and orange in there, just to give it that little... Now, this watch does come in at £1,720, which, I'm not going to lie, is quite steep for Tissot, and it's a hard sell when you do have brilliant Tissots like the PRX coming in at £600, £700. But I did like this watch. I did. I really did. Up next, we have a banger that's kind of going to be a little bit boring because everyone's talking about it and everyone has talked about it. But it is the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch with the white dial. And literally, this is just a sapphire sandwich, more or less, a sapphire sandwich Speedmaster. They've just put a white dial on it. And the white dial makes so much difference to this watch. This watch comes in at 42mm in diameter, 47.5mm lug to lug, and between the lugs comes in at 20mm. The thickness comes in at 13.2. This watch, of course, like the other Speedmasters, is manual wind, and the beauty of this watch lies in the simplicity of the white dial. I've talked quite a lot about selling my Seamaster. I don't think I will now. I think you guys have kind of convinced me out of that, but my next watch will be this Omega Speedmaster. I'm obsessed. So up next, we have the Rolex GMT Master 2, which was released at Watches and Wonders 2024, and this has a beautiful, you would drool over this watch, to be honest. The bezel comes in grey and black, or kind of like a muted down grey and black instead of different colors. And that's really all that's needed because it honestly looks unbelievable. The GMT model does come in at 40mm. Rolex proportions have always been absolutely killer. It has an oyster bracelet, which is just banging, and it's beautiful. It has a black dial, and the only real color on this watch are the green GMT hand and the green GMT Master 2 text. I'm obsessed with this watch. Would I ever buy a Rolex? Probably not, and that's not out of any snobbery towards Rolex. I've just never really converted with them. I like them and I'll look at them, but I can never convert. Up next, at number 10, I believe, is the Panerai Submersible Luna Rosa. This one has the white dial, the black bezel, and the iconic latch, the safety latch from Panerai. And honestly, this is another watch that I was almost converted with. I think there's a common theme. I think it's white dials. I think that's what gets me. This watch, of course, has a white dial, comes in at 42mm, and a black bezel. Now, the only real splash of color here you have is on the left-hand side with the little seconds counter, and there's kind of like a splash of red. There's a red second hand there. But that red second hand just brilliantly works in unison with the strap, because there's a red line down the kind of gray-black strap that is on this watch. And when I had this on the wrist, I was truly taken with it. And that doesn't happen often. When you've tried enough watches on, sometimes they blend into each other, but this one definitely didn't blend in. It didn't blend in at all. Panerai as a brand is the only brand that I would accept wearing a humongous watch with. And I don't know why that is, but I feel like for some reason, big Panerais just look better than other big watches on slim wrists. I don't know. It's just the way I see it. Up next, and I've just realized that I definitely got the last number wrong because this is the final watch. But anyway, it is the Certina DS Action Diver new GMT model. Now, there are 3 variations of this watch, and recently I took this watch across to Iceland to film and test out. And I think Certina as a brand are just so underrated. Their watches are absolutely banging, and they're very, very affordable. These new GMT models come in at 41mm in diameter, 13.8mm in height, and 20mm between the lugs. They're water resistant to 200 meters, and because they're GMT models, again, they read multiple time zones. Now, my personal favorite here was probably the brown with the kind of PVD gold. I thought that looked really classy, really vintage. And when I was filming in Iceland, I found myself gravitating more towards that style. And just honestly, if you're struggling for a brand to look at for fun, and you've kind of looked at all the big boys, give Certina a chance, because they release some really cool stuff. And that's all from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to enter our giveaway. It's on Instagram and also on YouTube. And I'll see you guys real soon.